All right, this is Brother Q. We're back today to talk about one of my favorite preps that I think most of us should have, but they don't. Communication. What would you do if your cell phone went down and you couldn't use it to call someone? How would you communicate with the outside world? These are some of the things that we're going to explore and look at today, give you some other options, some new things to think about. Some of the tools that I have, these are just some of a few of the radios, walkie-talkies, ham radio, walkie-talkie that I have. And just to give you some options as to what you should be looking at and thinking about. This is a very popular radio. This is the Baofeng UV5R ham radio. Now, ham radios, you need a license to work it, but in the case of an emergency, there are ways that it can be used, and you don't necessarily need a license for it. Now, this is also a Baofeng, but it's a less expensive, less programmable option, which basically you pick channels. It's more of a walkie-talkie back and forth communication type radio. As I said before, most of us don't think that our cell phones could ever stop. And this is something that you should look at in case of an emergency. Okay, it has a little push to talk. You can also connect an external microphone to it, just in case you want to get something and you don't want to necessarily hold it in your hand. It has a little flashlight on the top, the buttons on the side, these two buttons. The main thing is to realize that you have to be able to get in contact with your people. You have to make preparations in advance. There are a couple of different options out there. You can go to Walmart, different variety stores, and there are all different kinds of walkie-talkies that we can use to get in contact with each other. You have to practice. You have to prepare these things in advance. Whether it be camping, hiking, biking, just being able to be in communication with your people. Whether you're practicing SHTF scenario, you have to have communication. If it's just family and you're on a large property, even at the cookout, you got to have communication. But we never think about the cell phones going off. You know, you hear stories about EMPs and solar flares and things like that. But we never think that the trusty cell phone, which is the go-to, that we can just get in contact on a local or even more extended platform. This is one of those walkie-talkies that, came from Walmart. The two in a pack that you can use when you're biking and hiking. Anything is better than nothing. You can get the weather, severe weather alerts, updates, depending on what channel, how many channels and what the range is. You never know what level of communication that you can get from these type of radios, and they really, really come in handy. This is a more common version, this Cobra. It's got a USB and it's also got plug for an earpiece and an external microphone. This is just another inexpensive version. Cobra is a good brand. I've had this one for many years and I use this and beat it up a whole lot. Take the time with your friends and family to purchase radios like this and practice. Even if there's nothing going on, practice, instead of yelling through the house, get a radio. Practice when you go out to the mall or supermarket. Practice with these inexpensive radios, and when you find that it becomes convenience and a second nature, and you keep it in your go bag or in your car, you have an extra radio. These kinds of things can come in handy, not just as preps for disaster, because you need an extra microphone you need to put on your plate carrier or something, but you never know what situation, natural disaster, off-road situation, you can get the weather. One of my favorites is the old-fashioned CB that the truckers use. Those are still good to this very day and highly recommended that you look into it and get one. It doesn't matter what form of non-traditional communication that you use. Always remember, don't settle for just, oh yeah, my cell phone's always going to be there. My cell phone's always going to work. And remember, natural disaster, different kinds of things. Or even if it breaks, it doesn't have to be an EMP or a meteor coming out of the sky. These are just a few quick examples of the kinds of communications that are very inexpensive, easy to learn how to use, and readily available. Remember, communication is one of the most important preps that anyone can have. This is Brother Q. Peace.